So, Jade Bird, welcome to the first cut here for WFPK. It's great to have you.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thank you very much.
I understand you recently moved to Austin, Texas.
I did. This is my new room thing you're seeing. We did our own little painting on a mirror the other day. Got my flamingo cup. So yeah, moving in, feeling good.
All right. How come Austin as opposed to, say, Nashville or, I don't know, LA or something?
Somewhere else. mean, I think, Nashville was certainly on the cards. I think a lot of factors came to Austin. I think it was the fact that it's quite a grounded place. I really enjoyed that about it. Everyone here is quite like pretty horizontal, you know what I mean? Everyone's quite chill, which I personally love. It's a flight away from Nashville and LA, etc., etc. And our friends were renewing their lease, so that meant we could move in with them without having to kind of go and look for houses all the way in England. That would have
Oh,
been
that's
impossible.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay, so we're going to jump in and ask you some questions, beginning with what was the first record you fell in love with?
First record I fell in love with. I was trying to think about this because when I was young, a lot of things came into play. I kind of had like this pop thing from my mum, that was very informing. So it was like a lot of sort of not femme fatales, but like you just sort of powerful women influences. So like Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little Pill was huge for me. Or like Pink's Misunderstood. But then I also had this other figure in my life who was kind of like used to play me a lot of rock stuff, so like Black Rebel Motorcycle Club or Sun House. But if I had to pick the culmination, I'd probably go with Jagged Little Pill.
Yeah, that's an incredible record, and
Yeah.
to this day still.
Yeah, exactly.
What was the first song you learned on an instrument?
First time I learned on an instrument, well, I'm not going to go piano because I think that was something like, I don't know, Wild Goose Chase. Um, so I think going with guitar, I used to learn from an Oasis chord book. It's called a Little Black Book, I think, and it just had all the chords. And if you know, Oasis are kind of pride themselves on being the simplest chords with the best tunes, basically. So apart from As He Star, I'd say it would have been one of their numbers, some simple number. Maybe Don't Look Back in Anger. That's a bit hard though. Can't remember.
Could you play it now if you tried?
Yeah, if you give me the chord book, I can play them again.
Yeah. What was the first song you wrote?
First song I wrote was called When You're Alone, and it was very like finger picky. And yeah, it was sort of quite sad. I used to write a lot of sad songs, primarily and only sad songs, before kind of discovering country in a way. That was my route into happier, more uplifting music. So yeah, probably When You're Alone.
Was it because you were sad or feeling sad?
Yeah. Yeah, when I was 13, I think there was a lot of unresolved feelings, down due to like unstable family relations, basically. So I think a lot of that when I found the acoustic guitar was just like, it was the perfect time that I needed it, which is often like for most artists I know that I love, found a similar sort of thing.
What was your first guitar?
It was my grandma's. My grandma had an acoustic, and she was starting it up as like a little kind of side hobby. And she wasn't practicing, so I don't want it to make out I'm stealing my grandma's guitar unjustly. But yeah, she just had an acoustic, and I still wish I still wish I had it. My grandma has it and never uses it, but yeah, I love that guitar. Beautiful.
What brand was it?
No, like none that you'd recognize. It was kind of like what you'd get if you walked into a music store, but it just happened to be really warm and thin strings. So it kind of worked for me perfectly.
Yeah. What was the first song you wrote that you were proud enough to record?
Probably the Something American EP. I was really protective over recording stuff. I used to kind of have this sort of intuition that I wasn't ready to sort of throw things out into the sphere. Like a lot of people, when you're doing music in a say small town like I was, they're like, oh, you gotta release it all. You get in the X Factor, etc., etc. And I was always a bit like, I just had this sort of incentive. I was like, it's not what I want to do. And then when I finally got management, started to piece together all the demos for the Something American EP, I was finally ready at 17 to record.
Yeah. What was the first heartache song that you really connected with?
First heartache song, I remember Mazzy Star Into Dust. I remember playing that song over and over and over again and just like crying. Yeah, I mean it had a lot of memories intertwined with, you know, people who introduced me to that song kind of disappearing. So it was like a big ball of heartache, that song for me.
Right. Who was the first artist you really idolized?
The first artist I really idolized, I think, was maybe Johnny Cash. I remember kind of looking at him and, you know, often a younger him and watching the movie and listening to the songs and really being like, he was cool to me. And, you know, for a girl in South Wales, which is on the, you know, the left of the UK, it wasn't normal to absolutely adore Johnny Cash, really. It was pretty bizarre. So I'd say probably, yeah, Johnny Cash.
How did you get introduced to him?
His family friend. Yeah, yeah. Similar to all the mixed up emotions when I was younger, but yeah, yeah.
What was the name of the first band you played with, or did you start out with a band?
I never did a band thing. I don't know why. I think maybe I'm too much of an only child. So I'm an only child of only children. So I think that leads to a very like me kind of personality. So I think, yeah, I've always been a one-man band since I was like 2 years old.
What record are you listening to now that you really love?
Record I'm listening to right now that I really, really, really love. If it was a song, that's a good question actually, because I listen to quite a lot of old stuff, and I'm just wondering if there's any new stuff I've been listening to. Usually, like an Andy Sharp record always plays well, or like a Alex G record I go to quite a lot. Like his second record, I think is really stunning. So maybe one of those I've been playing quite religiously.
What's the most recent song you've learned to play?
Most recent song I've learned to play. Well, I'm doing a cover of The Lars, There She Goes, which luckily is 3 chords. But we're recording it today, so that's the most recent song.
You are recording it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're doing like a little live sort of thing because we've been filming in our house with our buddy, just all these different things. So that was one of them.
Well, that'll be a great one. I love that little song.
Yeah, exactly.
We have harmony with you on that, or?
Yeah, so Luke, my partner and my guitarist who moved in with me, yeah, he kind of does all the like, he's on a shaker 1 minute, he's on the trumpet 1 minute, you know. He's that guy.
Oh, look forward to that. What would be a heartache song you would go to now?
A heartache song I go to now is probably Going Nowhere, Elliott Smith. It used to be Storms by Fleetwood Mac. It really tied into how I felt about touring at the time. It was kind of exhausted, and, you know, she talks a lot about I did not deal with the road. It used to be that one. But now I find it's sort of meandering, kind of simple sadness with Going Nowhere. It's just this idea of like, it's just such a simple idea. And just absolutely devastating, that melody.
So what about an uplifting song you would go to now? What would be a song that would really lift your spirits if that's what you were needing?
Yeah, I play a lot of soul. So when I'm like cooking or like, you know, wanting to get that little like real like, I don't know, feel good about life, I like play a lot of Curtis Mayfield. So I'd recommend, you know, the album. And then to make me personally feel good, I mean, it's like Move On Up. You Can't Deny, you know, it's the most well-known one, but it's equally like incredible, or Superfly or something like that. But Move On Up definitely makes me feel good.
All right. Well, Jade, that's pretty much it. That's
Great.
short and sweet. And thank you so much for spending your time with us.
Yeah, anytime. I hope we'll be back in Louisville soon, like with a show, hopefully at some point.
Well, we certainly hope so, because I remember you had maybe a show that was canceled, unfortunately. Then you rescheduled, and then that got canceled. So, yeah.
I feel like that. It's like certain venues or cities. It's like does the Lord not want me to play here? You know, but I'm like determined next year it'll all be fine. I'll stick with the dates.
Well, hopefully everybody will be able to perform again very soon, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and have a great day.
I will. Take care of yourself.
I will.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.